So getting straight into it, this build, or builds, since it works on all 3 classes and every subclass, it primarily makes use of the new exotic, the Wicked Implement. And before we really continue into all the detail and telling you exactly how everything works, I'll be honest, and I'm going to say this is more of a loadout because it revolves around the Wicked Implement weapon, and your class, armor mods, and subclass, they can change. Whatever you choose to put there is really just to add to everything, and it's not necessary to make this loadout work. But of course, I'm not only going to talk about Wicked Implement. I will have some recommendations that will actually turn this video into more of a build video later on. But as I've said already, it really just works with everything, so it's not even necessary. So first up, let's showcase how Wicked Implement can deal with all 3 champs. And this is without any seasonal artifact mods. This is the gun itself. The footage you're going to see is Legend Lost Sectors solo. I could have done Master Lost Sectors because this weapon and my build recommendations work fine in Master Lost Sectors, but for video purposes, the health pools can get a little big. So the first champion, and the easiest if you choose to use seasonal artifacts, which I won't be in this video, is Overload. It's pretty simple how you deal with it. You just shoot in the head until it gets stunned. The reason why it gets stunned is because Wicked Implement applies slow with consecutive headshots, and slowing will stun overloads. But now as for killing the overload champion, you have 2 options. You can either shoot it, freeze it, shatter it, and continue to plink away at its health, slowly but surely, or you can just shoot it till it's stunned, and then switch to something like a rocket launcher and nuke it. The nuke option is a lot easier inside of Legend Lost Sectors, and as for Masters, plinking away, if you're safe, is usually the best way to go if you just want consistency. So that's overloads, really simply taken care of. Let's move on to the next easiest one, being Unstoppables. For Unstops, it's not tricky, but you do need to hit headshots on an Unstoppable. So that might be a little difficult, but you just hit it till it freezes, and then it shatters. And then you can nuke it like every other champion, or just as with Overload, you can keep plinking away, freezing, and reshattering, which will get it done eventually. And then finally, to the anti-barrier champions. And this is where it can get a little creative, because as you probably already know, freezing and slow and stasis in general doesn't have any way to deal with anti-barrier champions, unless you can freeze them fast enough, which Wicked Implement very much can. So as for how to deal with it, as you're seeing, you shoot it until it's frozen. Then you're going to want to reload the Wicked Implement so you have enough ammo. And then you're going to shoot it. It's going to shatter. And then it's going to try to pop its shield. But you'll have enough ammo, since you reloaded while it was frozen, to freeze it again. Rinse and repeat, and it'll die. Once you're far enough in the health bar, you can definitely just pull out a rocket or whatever and kill it, without having to go through its entire health bar, just primary ammo. And as for anti-barriers and Unstoppable specifically, this is where the recommendations for an actual build really sees potency. And to start with that, let's talk about your other weapons. So your exotic and kinetic slot are taken by Wicked Implement. Your energy and your heavy can really be whatever you want. For example, you could have your energy weapon be an anti-barrier, specifically in the case if you don't want to deal with, killing anti-barriers slowly. Or you can make your secondary an ad clear weapon to deal with big waves of mobs. But those are pretty simple recommendations, and I'm sure you have your preferences on what you want to use. But now let's talk about heavy, where there's a little bit more strictness, I would say. Regarding solo in-game content, there's kind of really only one option in my mind, and that's rockets. Rockets are definitely the meta right now. They have been for a while. They will continue to be. And they're just really nice and bursty, which when you have a limited window to kill a champion, burst damage is what you want. So as for me, I'm using a Cold Comfort rocket. I've made a video on this one in the past. But you pretty much just want something with either auto-loading or Envious Assassin. And bonus points if you can get 2 rockets into the mag. Because, well, 2 rockets is better than 1 when you're trying to kill a champion. And that's weapons done really quick. So far we haven't done anything class-wise or subclass-wise, so Regardless of if you're a hunter, titan, warlock, you can make use of everything I've said so far and then get creative with your subclass. But now, let's talk subclasses. So first up, we're still going to stay a little general and just say, in my opinion, I think solar is one of the best options to go with this, because you can use the fragment that gives you radiant on melee hits, allowing you to take care of anti-barriers with any weapon, including your rocket. Also, solar is especially good on titan and warlock because of the survivability through restoration, allowing you to be really safe inside of high level, you're kind of gonna die a lot content. But that's specifically so you can take care of anti-barrier champions as well as the survivability. What I can also recommend, which allows a little bit more flexibility in your subclass versus champions, but also has some survivability, is Strand. Survivability through Woven Mail, because we all know that's pretty broken. And then for champions, we have things like the Shackle Grenade and just Suspend in general. Suspending does the same thing as Freeze, which Wicked Implement does, allowing you to pretty much guarantee a champion is never going to get the chance to do a single thing. Especially anti-barriers, if you freeze them, shatter them, and then suspend them, they're really going to be having a rough day. One last thing regarding subclasses is Wicked Implement is a stasis weapon, which means it synergizes with stasis subclasses, but also it doesn't. I made a whole video on this, but the stasis shards that Wicked Implement creates grants melee energy on every single subclass. So you don't even need to be stasis to take advantage of what Wicked Implement is doing. So honestly, if you don't have a great stasis build that lets you survive in-game content, I wouldn't really recommend it. Just use Wicked Implement for what it already does. And that's pretty much it, I think. I've got some subclass recommendations in there, especially loadout recommendations, because that's kind of the whole video is about. But definitely be flexible with it. Wicked Implement, it can carry anyone through in-game content, as long as you can hit your headshots, that is. But it's a really good gun for what it does. It makes hard stuff pretty easy if you just take your time. Granted, there are other builds out there and other loadouts that allow for much quicker nuke builds for specific champions, but Wicked Implement allows you to take care of all three, allowing you to focus your build on other things like staying alive, which for a lot of players is really important when they're tackling their first solo lost sector or their first master lost sector, because that stuff can get pretty difficult and you just need something consistent, not something super high skill, go quick, go nuke everything. I'd really like to know what you guys would change about this build, or what you guys would add to it, because it's more of a loadout. Because this is kind of my first video going over a build recommendation, and I'm having a hard time thinking up things that are just for one class. Because I don't want to make just a Warlock build because, well, Hunters and Titans get a little left out. So I like to keep stuff general across the Destiny player base so that everybody watching can get something of value out of it. So please, let me know what you think down in the comments below. And of course, thank you for watching. If you want to support me and support this channel, and you can't think of a comment, first off, a like is super appreciated. But also, comment down below, champ. And with that, I hope you're having a great day, and I hope to see you around.